Taufaahau tato. Hello again to all of us. This is my story. This is a story from Tonga. There's this king in Tonga named Taufaahau. He's also known as Tupou Uluwaki, Tupou the First. And Taufaahau, he established modern Tonga. Set it up as a government. And he took Tonga from being, a Polynesian chiefdom in the tradition, living in the old traditional ways. And he brought Tonga into the modern world. Set it up as a government, organized the government, made sure that Tonga was recognized by European powers, and kept Tonga from being colonized in the 19th century. And this is at a time when other chiefs in Polynesia, when other islands in Polynesia were being colonized. And Taufaahau was able to keep Tonga from being colonized. Okay? So he was a great chief, very wise. This is a story about him, or rather about his birth. Taufaahau's father was named Tupou Toa. And in about 1800, he married a woman named Homofaleono. And Homofaleono, she was the daughter of a chief named Ma'afu o Tuitonga. Ma'afu. And he was a chief of Vaini, which is a village in Tonga Tapu. And Tupou Toa, when he got married to her, okay, he lived with her, she became pregnant. And at that time, Tupou Toa, he was called to become the governor of Vava'u. So he had to leave Tonga Tapu, he had to go up north to Vava'u. And he left his wife in her father's household. And so Homofaleono, she was pregnant, she was staying with her father. And when a woman gets pregnant, oftentimes she'll get a craving for food. Okay, she might crave pickles, she might crave cornstarch. And oftentimes it's because if there's something that's lacking in her diet, she'll have this craving where she'll want to eat it. Cornstarch has got iron. And so a woman who doesn't have enough iron in her diet may get this craving just to eat cornstarch out of the box. Okay? And it's like she's really just hungry for it. Okay? This woman, Homofaleono, she had a craving. She craved human blood. Okay? And her father, when he knew about that craving, he was horrified. He thought, this is an omen. The child that she is carrying is going to be evil, is going to be bad for Tonga. If she gives birth to a baby boy, kill the baby. That's what he told his servants. Okay? And when the word of this got to her husband, to Tupou Toa, he was up in Vava'u. When he heard about this, he sent his navigator, because he had a canoe, and he had this guy who was like a navigator, who was kind of like the captain of the canoe, who would like guide the canoe. And the navigator's term, the people with the last name of Kaho, are descended from this navigator. Tupou Toa, he sent his navigator to go down to Tonga Tapu and go fetch his wife before she delivered, or else the baby's going to get killed. Okay, so the navigator went down there. He went down to Vaini, and he got the wife. And he took her up to Vava'u. Okay? And as they were going in the canoe, they came to this island. Okay, they stopped at this island, and they went up on the island, and there's this plant that grows on this island called ngalu, and it's got a strong odor. And this woman, when she smelt the odor, it made her sick. She wanted to throw up. That's another thing that happens when women are pregnant. At certain times, like the first 3 months, they want to throw up a lot because there's these changes going on in their body. She smelt the plant. She wanted to throw up. So they named this island Lua Ngalu, which means Lua is vomit. So that's she wants to vomit because of the smell of the Ngalu. Okay, so they went on further, and they came to this other island. And they got to this island, she started to throw up. Okay? And they named that island Lua Hoko, which means the vomit has come. Hoko means to come. Okay? And they went on, and they came to Pangai. And at that point, this woman went into labor. Okay? So they stopped in Pangai. And they weren't quite in Vava'u yet. Pangai's still just a little bit before Vava'u. And they stopped in Pangai. And the servants, the people in the canoe, they went onto the beach, And when a baby is born, they would feed the coconut meat to it. It'd give it the taste for sucking on its mother's breast. And so the servants that were, going up, and the people were going up and down this beach, and they were calling one another, "Did you get a coconut?" And so that beach is called New Ui, which means to call for coconuts. And eventually they got this woman. She gave birth. She gave birth to a baby, and she named him. They named the baby Ngini Ngini Ofalanga. Okay, it was a baby boy. Then they went up to Taufaahau, and when they got to Taufaahau, the mother and the baby, they stayed with the father. And okay, so the baby was taken care of, and he wasn't killed because this baby, Ngini Ngini Ofalanga, if it had stayed at his grandfather's house, he'd have been killed. Okay? Well, this boy, he grew up, and he was like a few years old. He got sick. When he was sick, they took him to this temple, like the old religion. And it was a temple of a god named Taufaahau. And it was in a place called Ahau. And this boy, Ngini Ngini Ofalanga, he got better because he was taken to this temple. And so they changed his name. Taufaahau. Okay? The name of the temple, name of the god, Taufaahau, in Ahau. Taufaahau. And his name eventually was changed to Taufaahau. Taufaahau. He was that king of Tonga. And so he grew up, and he was, eventually became the Tu'ikanukupoulu, the king of Tonga. When he was about 30 years old, he went to see his grandfather, Ma'afu of Tu'itonga, the one who had told the servants to kill the baby if it was a boy baby that was born. And he went to see his grandfather. And at this point, his grandfather was really old, and he was blind, and he couldn't see his grandson, Taufaahau. Okay, and Taufaahau, he's a grown man. He's large in stature. He can't see his grandson because he's blind. And a couple of years later, another grandson was born to Ma'afu of Tu'itonga, to Ma'afu. And he chose the name of the baby. And he chose the name Amusia Ia. And that means jealous for those who can see. Because, he couldn't see his grandson Taufaahau. He was jealous. Okune Amusia Ia. He was jealous of those who could see. There's a message in this story, okay? And it applies to today. A couple of things. When a woman is pregnant, she's going to have cravings, okay? And in the second part of this chief, Tupotoa, his wife is pregnant. He sends down his navigator down to Tonga Tapu to bring her up to Taufaahau. The purpose for marriage. When a woman is pregnant, her husband needs to take care of her. Okay? Whether she has a craving for food, he has to take care of her. In these days, people, the custom is sometimes that people they'll have sex and they're not married, and a woman gets pregnant. Okay, and it's sort of like, well, maybe they'll be taken care of somehow. The husband is supposed to be around to take care of the baby. Okay? Just like in this story, Tukuaho, he takes care of his wife because she's pregnant and she's got problems. He's taking care of her. This story is done.